Today we are gonna understand the T virus, the G virus, and the C virus of the Resident Evil universe. So let's begin. Tyrant virus, also known as the T virus, is the general name given to a series of mutant progenitor virus strains. Initially developed by Umbrella Pharmaceuticals in the late 1960s, the primary goal of the T virus project was to effectively eliminate the need for a large-scale conventional army and generate revenue for their eugenics program, the Wesker Project. Now, what was the Wesker Project? Well, we will understand that in a different video. For now, let's focus on this. So, this required two things. The virus had to be highly contagious to the point of infecting an entire target population and guarantee a 100% mortality rate. However, such a virus was deemed impossible due to the tendency of highly contagious diseases to kill too many people at once and prevent further spread. By 1978, the development focus shifted from creating a lethal, highly contagious virus to one that would mutate hosts to become physically stronger and remain alive despite organ failures and severe brain damage. The latter led to murderous aggression and an obsessive hunger that drove individuals to cannibalism. Additionally, with the discovery in 1981 that approximately 10% of any population was naturally immune or unmutated asymptomatic carriers, Phase 2 of the research project aimed at finding workarounds, while an improved T virus with 0% immunity was being developed. The Arklay laboratory team, led by Dr. William Birkin, engineered a new species of animal that could hunt down and kill survivors. This effort began with the creation of simple bioorganic weapons such as the web spinner and progressed with the development of the genetically chimeric Hunter Alpha. In the mid-1980s, the T virus project shifted its focus to the creation of intelligent bioweapons, most notably the Tyrants. Following the collapse of Umbrella in the early 2000s, the T virus became accessible to numerous organizations capable of finalizing Umbrella's research in their own ways and dominating the weapons industry. This led to the independent development of mutagens like T-Abyss. From the discovery of the progenitor virus in December 1966, the ultimate goal of Oswell E. Spencer and his colleagues, Dr. Edward Ashford and Dr. James Marcus, was to usher in a new age of eugenics by using mutagenic viruses to improve the human race. To fund this program, known as the Wesker Project, they decided to engineer virus strains such as military products, leading to the establishment of Umbrella Pharmaceuticals as a front for their research. Research on progenitor strains was conducted simultaneously in various laboratories, with Ashford, Marcus, and Spencer each pursuing independent research. T-virus research began in the late 1960s, shortly after founding of Umbrella. As the T-virus comprises a series of independently developed strains rather than a single virus, new strains do not necessarily rely on recent research conducted by other teams. Spencer's team developed their T-virus prototype at the Arklay laboratory, where they had previously tested their Type A and Type B progenitor strains. Limited information is available about Spencer's project, but it appears that Spencer was dissatisfied with its progress and ordered the theft of research data from his counterparts. By 1978, work on this virus had been completely abandoned. Edward Ashford conducted research on his T virus prototype at his family's estate in Europe. In 1968, Spencer orchestrated an outbreak at the laboratory, resulting in Ashford's death from infection. Work on the T virus was put on hold until the 1980s when Alexia Ashford, a genetically modified clone of Veronica Ashford, the founder of the Ashford family, took charge of the project around the age of 10. The culmination of her efforts would eventually result in the creation of the T. veronica virus. This was achieved by splicing the Veronica virus, a virus found inside a queen ant, into the progenitor genome. In 1983, Alexia went into cryogenic suspension to become one with her virus, leading many who did not know this fact to believe that her project had failed and that she had perished like Edward. Dr. James Marcus's research led to a breakthrough on January 13, 1978, which prompted the adoption of the name T virus to distinguish it from the progenitor virus. The new strain was developed by introducing annelid genes into the viral genome. Infection with this virus yielded a different response compared to progenitor infection. Instead of succumbing to death, the infected individuals became aggressive, developed cannibalistic tendencies, suffered severe necrosis, and experienced a significant decline in intelligence. In 1978, Dr. William Birkin stole samples and research data. Birkin, a protege of Marcus, was offered a senior position at the Arklay laboratory on the condition that he deliver the research to Spencer's team. After his transfer in the summer of 1978, Birkin began modifying the virus by splicing RNA from Ebola into the T virus's genome, creating the beta strain. He believed that this modification would increase the virus's contagion while still allowing most victims to remain alive as zombies. However, Spencer was dissatisfied with the virus developed by the Arklay team, as approximately 10% of the population naturally possessed immunity to the virus, rendering them unable to turn into zombies, although they could still act as carriers. To ensure a near 100% success rate in battle, the Arklay team created the Hunter in 1981 by fusing human eggs and reptilian DNA through the virus. These creatures were deployed in combat to eliminate any remaining survivors. The T virus facilitated genetic recombination between different species, making it easier to produce the virus on a large scale within Umbrella and supplying it to various research facilities for the development of new bioorganic weapons (BOWs) models. Around 1988, the T virus entered phase 3 with the aim of creating reliable, intelligent BOWs. The Tyrant project concluded that it was statistically improbable for an individual to possess the genetic characteristics necessary to be compatible with the T virus strains available at the time. For several years, the Arklay laboratory and NEST conducted global research on the Gamma strain. This new virus was discovered in 1988 to induce a second set of mutations in zombies, resulting in the creation of the creatures such as Crimson Heads and Lickers. New viral strains were developed toward the end of Umbrella's existence and in the years that followed. One of these strains was the T plus G virus derived from the T virus, which enabled infected bodies to generate electricity. Another variant, T Abyss, was created under the supervision of Morgan Lansdale by grafting the genome of another virus onto a T virus strain. Dr. Alex Wesker engineered T Phobos to induce mutations in humans upon contact with stress hormones associated with fear. The C virus utilized by New Umbrella in 2012 for bioterrorism purposes was a heavily re-engineered version of the T Veronica strain. A new T virus strain was developed by Dylan Blake specifically to clean the slate of society, which enhanced using Arias' A virus and harvested from licker larvae. The vectors of the T virus strain were experimental mosquito drones, created with the reluctant aid of Dr. Antonio Taylor, which would infect individual targets. Unlike its predecessor, however, it was non-transmissible and therefore the infected could be euthanized without causing an outbreak. Like any other retrovirus, T viruses make contact with the cell's membrane, and using a process called reverse transcription, the virus can copy its RNA and insert it into its host's DNA. This rewriting of DNA hijacks a cell's intended functions and uses them to produce virions similar to the original virus. The newly formed virions are then released from the host cell and infect neighboring cells, initiating the process once again. Several diseases have been associated with T virus infection. The first, tentatively referred to as progenitor disease, is a fatal viral illness caused by progenitor and early T virus strains. The exact mechanism of this disease is unknown, including whether it triggers a cytokine storm or rapidly mutates the patient until death. However, the most common disease caused by T viruses is cannibal disease, a condition in which patients mutate to gain enhanced survival capabilities at the cost of brain damage and homicidal urges. Advanced stage cannibal disease patients are referred to as zombies, while pre-symptomatic and early symptomatic cases can be treated with antiretroviral drugs. In the Gamma strain and its variants, zombies undergo various mutations over time, such as becoming crimson heads, lickers, the suspended, or pale heads. An exceptional case of viral infection occurs in adapters, individuals who acquire superhuman abilities with minimal to no brain damage. As the genetic criteria for this unique reaction are rare, no such human mutants were known to exist until the 1990s, when the Tyrant Project's initial prototype BOWs were created. Other individuals such as Sergei Vladimir and Albert Wesker gained enhanced superhuman abilities following their own T virus infections. However, in these cases, specially engineered T virus strains were used to increase the likelihood of such mutations, and Sergei Vladimir already had genetic compatibility with the virus. The T virus is capable of infecting subjects through various methods. Research files from the Arklay laboratory indicate that the virus has a protein structure. Direct injection of the virus into an organism's body was considered the primary means of infection due to its significance in bioweapons development. Water. The T virus contaminated Raccoon Dam and the Raccoon sewage treatment plant, leading to its leakage into the city's water supply and infecting many civilians. Direct fluidic transmission. Close combat attacks by infected hosts such as bites, scratches, gashes, or stabs can transfer the virus to the bloodstream through contact with infected bodily fluids and tissues. Umbrella Corporation considers this a secondary means of infection. However, precise infection through dry bites is uncertain. Airborne. Evidence from the Arklay laboratory and the military training center suggests that the T virus can spread as an airborne pathogen under specific laboratory conditions. It is unclear whether it can be transmitted between individuals through coughing, as coughing fits do not appear to be a common symptom. Okay, so this was the T virus. Now let's understand the G virus. The G virus is a progenitor-based retrovirus discovered and further developed by William Birkin and his team of researchers at Umbrella's underground laboratory. Its mutations far succeed those of the T virus. Despite being financed and treated as a weapon by Umbrella, its purpose was to advance human evolution through infection. G has the abilities to evolve a host, create new life forms, and most notably repair dead cells and bring deceased hosts back to life. T virus and G virus. The two viruses are totally dissimilar despite being descended from progenitor, and G being a further evolved T virus strain formed through continuous injections of variant strains into a certain test subject. Whereas the T virus typically causes relatively minor mutations in human hosts, such as zombies and tyrants. The G virus causes such extreme genetic mutations that victims are no longer recognizable as human. T virus mutants are almost unanimously infertile, while G mutants are capable of asexual reproduction. The T virus causes necrosis of the body as a side effect, while G is capable of repairing dead cells and even reviving the dead. Because of these factors, G is regarded as one of the greatest threats to the planet if an outbreak were to occur. The G virus was isolated in 1988 by Dr. William Birkin, the chief researcher at Umbrella USA's top secret Arclair laboratory. Its discovery was made following the immune system's inexplicable destruction of the NE-alpha type parasite in the body of Lisa Trevor, a human test subject. The virus could theoretically have existed since the late 1960s, when testing on her began, and was determined to be able to genetically alter a living being repeatedly and unpredictably, as well as repair damaged cells and revive the dead. These properties ran counter to Umbrella's plans to create a reliable military-grade BOWs that could be controlled. Despite this, Umbrella Pharmaceuticals' CEO, Oswell E. Spencer, Earl Spencer, was interested in G for its potential eugenics purposes and authorized its development as an R&D project, unrelated to the T-virus project. Early research on G took place in France at an underground research complex led by Dr. Christine Henry, a French countess from a family connected to Spencer. However, this partnership ceased in 1991 with the completion of Umbrella's underground laboratory within a limestone cavern in the outskirts of Raccoon City. The G-Virus project reached its final stages in the 1990s alongside the T-Virus project, which Dr. Birkin also oversaw. Through the abduction of locals, the NEST researchers were able to obtain a number of test subjects for both projects, including children at a nearby orphanage. However, the accelerated use of test subjects was so high that the newly commissioned incineration disposal plant P12A suffered a biohazard due to having to process too much bio-waste. As the months drew on, Dr. Birkin became increasingly frustrated with Umbrella's board of executives, and both parties became increasingly suspicious that the other would seize the completed virus for themselves. Dr. Birkin entered into secret negotiations with the US military, expecting to earn protection as a new addition to their own bioweapons project. However, Umbrella headquarters moles within the US military reported back on this new development, and an Umbrella security service team was sent out to detain Dr. Birkin for crimes against Umbrella and seize the virus to complete its research under Dr. Henry in France. On the night of September 22, the USS launched an attack on NEST and fatally wounded Dr. Birkin during their recovery mission. In his dying moments, Dr. Birkin infected himself with a remaining sample of G and mutated into a powerful G mutant. He massacred the security team and leaked both G virus and the T virus into the sewers. As Raccoon City fell to a T virus outbreak, Dr. Birkin continued to wander around seeking people to implant with G embryos and propagate his new species. The number of Gs created is uncertain, although it is known that some corpses were infected with the virus and became G zombies. Further attempts to steal G continued during the outbreak. Within NEST, Dr. Monica and a man later known as Dr. Frederick Downing both attempted to escape from Raccoon City with samples. In Dr. Monica's case, she stole an embryo from a pre-final G test and was killed by it during her escape attempt. In Dr. Downing's case, he succeeded in escaping with a virus sample either from the finalized version or a near finalized one, and tried to start a new life for himself outside Raccoon City. The US Army made an attempt to recover the virus through Delta Force and used Umbrella's private subway system to reach the lab and retrieve it. Unfortunately, they took the wrong route and were killed at the P12A plant. Umbrella's own attempt to retrieve G succeeded in the early hours of September 30 when Alpha team leader Hunk recovered a sample and got in touch with an Umbrella helicopter. In the early hours of September 30, Dr. Birkin implanted a G embryo into his daughter, Sherry, which led to her being rushed to NEST to be treated with the Devil vaccine, on the advice of Dr. Birkin's wife, Dr. Annette Birkin, the only surviving member of the NEST still in the city. The vaccine was designed to halt mutations caused by the virus. But as the vaccine could not reverse mutation, the recommended procedure was an emergency surgery to remove G cells from the body. However, this did not take place due to the severity of the outbreak, made worse by the facility's self-destruct sequence and Annette's death. At the same time, the facility was infiltrated by Ada Wong, an agent for a rival company sent to retrieve a sample of G. Wong ultimately failed to retrieve a sample, though she escaped with a skin tissue sample taken from Dr. Birkin. Dr. Birkin himself was killed attempting to escape Nest in an underground train. Although accounts differ as to whether he was killed by the train self-destructing or by being consumed by the explosion from Nest. Further research and modification of the G virus took place in the years after the Raccoon City incident. Umbrella Europe, a rival company, Dr. Downing, and the US military all succeeded in retrieving samples. The latter accomplished this by placing Sherry Birkin in government custody as a means of studying her G cells and keeping her away from those seeking the virus. Umbrella Europe used G in research on marrying the G and the T projects, resulting in what became known as the T plus G virus. This virus was mostly a T virus that had mutated from exposure within a hostile environment of G antibodies, possibly with a G organism. The virus went through at least 2 iterations as research continued, and all known samples were stolen in September 2002 by terrorist Dr. Morpheus D. Duval. They were later destroyed along with a missile silo he had based himself in and a cruise ship he used to get there. In late 2005, Dr. Downing used G as part of a black market bioweapons sales pitch to the Republic of Bajirape. Having radicalized Dr. Curtis Miller into using viral weapons as a means of political debate on them, and revealing the US military's previous involvement with Umbrella USA, Dr. Downing sought to use footage of T-virus outbreaks caused by Dr. Miller as well as his own infection with G as proof of concept. Bajrib was interested in both viruses despite Dr. Downing's own recommendation against G. However, the sale failed when US Stratcom was able to track him down and detain him. Although the US military made no known attempts to create bioweapons after the Raccoon City incident, the family, an American exemptionalist movement with strong ties to the government and civil service, initiated the C virus project as a private endeavor. They believed that the US would inevitably return to developing bioweapons and did not want rival countries like China to advance beyond them in the meantime. Through access to Sherry, who herself had been confirmed to possess regenerative and anti-aging abilities, the family was able to obtain G cells from her body, as well as any G virus variants being produced. By splicing G cells into a sample of T. veronica obtained in 2002, the chrysalid virus was able to cause extreme mutations in humans as well as revive the dead. To date, the BSAA had to combat a G virus outbreak. Nonetheless, there are official policies that if the virus is detected, the entire BSAA force should be put on alert if the local branch is inadequate to destroy all traces, with that point being determined by the creation of the new G humans. Transmission. There are two significant ways in which G is able to transmit between individuals. The first is through injection of the virus into the body. Umbrella USA's Nest facility kept a number of vials of G in storage, preserved within a protein media dyed purple for immediate identification. As the incubation period of the G virus is very short, injection of a full or near full vial as performed by Dr. William Birkin is known to bring about mutation within seconds, though it is possible this process would be delayed if a smaller viral load is injected. The second mode of transmission is by implantation of a G embryo. These organisms are a natural offspring of G mutants and are forced into a human's host body via oral implantation. By being a host to the parasitic embryo, the victim is then at risk of being infected from within. If the host is closely related genetically to the embryo's parent, there is a high probability that the embryo will merge into the host's body and mutate them into Gs themselves. If the host is not deemed compatible, the embryo will force its way out within minutes, killing the host. It is uncertain whether a rejected host will be infected with the virus. The G virus has extreme effects on the human body. The virus infects cells close by, turning them into so-called G cells. These G cells then produce more of the virus, which spreads further across the body. As this gradual spread starts from the point of infection, the body may mutate asymmetrically. This is seen in Dr. Birkin, who infected himself in the right arm, which became considerably more muscular in comparison to the left. G's extreme mutations are not stopped simply from the creation of G cells. If part of the body is injured, it will regenerate, ultimately causing the host's DNA to be rewritten, leading to significant changes in the body during the regeneration. In the case of Dr. Birkin, he grew an entirely new, functional head, with his original head being moved down to the chest and eventually disappearing entirely. Other noticeable aspects of the extreme mutations were the growth of a second pair of arms, which later mutated further into feet, and the reshaping of the rib cage into a mouth with bone teeth, with each physical trauma he received. Birkin's mutations grew more and more severe until his form could no longer be recognized as human. Outside of Dr. Birkin's unique mutation, two common elements occur within most G mutants. The first is that of functioning eyeballs, which develop in seemingly random parts of the body for no particular reason. This is comparable with teratomas, a type of tumor that grows hair, teeth, and eyes. The second is that of asexual reproduction, the manner of which is uncertain. Dr. Birkin was capable of reproducing embryos soon after infection but was not seen doing so for another 7 days, while second generation G were capable of giving birth to embryos within minutes of their own birth. In both types of mutations, the individuals gave birth via the mouth. This may be typical with G or simply the result of the embryos sharing random traits developed in Birkin's body. As observed in Raccoon City, third generation G, effectively Birkin's grandchildren, were incapable of maturing past their larval stage, exposing a generational defect in G mutants. There are two other occurrences of G mutants that do not fit other examples. The first is that of the G zombies, human corpses infected with the G virus in some manner. These creatures are not true G and remain genetically human, albeit with their body turned pink from the G cells. The second anomaly is that of Sherry Birkin. This individual is the only known instance of a host being genetically compatible with the embryo but was vaccinated during a short window after implantation, and consequently did not develop extreme mutations aside from regenerative abilities. Whether or not she possesses any other traits is unknown. The chrysalid virus, abbreviated as C virus, is a family of viruses that were created by the family as a next-generation bioweapon, with a genome containing genes from T. veronica and Golgotha virus. The C virus was able to both preserve some degree of intelligence in mutants and revive the dead, and induce violent mutations in hosts. A vaccine was created in 2013, ending its reliability as a weapon. The C virus project was the brainchild of Derek C. Simons, a senior American civil servant and head of the family, a fraternity with wealthy connections. Simons believed that the use of bioweapons in warfare was an inevitability, and with the US refusing to continue its own bioweapons development after the 1998 Raccoon City destruction incident, had the family privately fund its own research on their behalf. The C virus project itself was led by Dr. Carla Adams, a child prodigy scouted by the Simons Foundation immediately after graduation. Dr. Adams was quickly assigned to a family laboratory and became influential in its viral and bioorganic weapon projects. Though some degree of research took place since 1999, the C virus project itself started sometime in 2001 and went through considerable alterations. Working on a variant of progenitor virus or T virus, the C virus prototype was altered with the splicing of genes extracted from T. veronica. The virus was acquired by Simons probably in 2002 from the recovery of Manuela Hidalgo. The T02 strain, as it was called, was found to preserve much of the intelligence of a human mutant. With access to Sherry Birkin, Simons provided Dr. Adams with a sample of Golgotha or G virus to alter this new contagion further. Over the next several years, Dr. Adams created a number of strains that would induce more specific mutations in humans. This method of creating BOWs was vastly different from Umbrella's T-Virus project, which used cloning methods to replicate successful BOWs by splicing DNA from a particular individual into the C virus. A strain could be created that would turn others into duplicates using a massive resources available to the family. Tens of thousands of people were abducted and used as test subjects for the project. One such sub-project was the creation of a doppelganger to Ada Wong, a woman Simons had fallen in love with sometime in the 1990s. Having a sample of her DNA, a C virus strain with her genes was tested 12,235 times until Dr. Adams herself was forcibly used as a test subject. Each one before became a deformed mutant with only vaguely feminine attributes. This project officially came to a close on 30 April 2009 with Dr. Adams as a successful subject. The attempt to clone Wong also birthed other projects like Lepotica. While accounts differ as to its exact origins, it would appear that the strain was an offshoot of this attempt and was later used by Dr. Adams in 2012 to infect Nanan Yoshihara during a test at the Marhava school. A sample was taken from Yoshihara after her death, which, with further alteration, was completed in time for the mid-2013 attacks. As seen during the attacks in Edonia and Lanxiang and using the HAVO in New Umbrella's ranks, Dr. Adams' research resulted in the creation of a number of viral strains equally useful in BOW production. By the Lanxiang attack in mid-2013, strains were in use which turned humans into Napads, Mezek, Strelic, Yubistvo, and Nesdo, among others. Other creatures such as Ilazija were created, but as no others are known to have existed, it may have been a freak mutation. Following the accusation of Jake Mueller in December 2012, 6 months of research at the facility in Lanxiang resulted in the creation of the enhanced C virus. Whereas the viral strains designed to create BOWs were known to halt mutations upon achieving a complete mutation stage of development. This strain effectively made mutation the standard response to severe injury, allowing an organism to mutate into more powerful forms so long as they were still alive. Only 3 known samples of this virus were created: the mutated Simon, Dr. Adams, and Pierce Nevans in radically different ways. Another strain was created at the Seabed Laboratory many miles off the Chinese coast, starting from 2011 at the latest. By collecting samples of microorganisms living in and around an underwater volcano, test subjects would mutate to gain the properties of extremophiles, able to survive in harsh environments such as excessive heat. This was different from other C virus strains which were known to raise a mutant's body temperature enough they would incinerate. The research on this strain resulted in HAOS transmission. Though there are many strains of C virus, there are only 2 means of infection. The first is through direct injection into the body, which normally creates a HAVO, though complete mutations can be directly created via injection, bypassing the HAVO stage. The second means of infection is exposure to the virus in fog-like form, which can be produced by both Lepotica and HAOS. Humans exposed to the virus in this matter become zombies. Zombies cannot infect others through bites, and like HAVO, a mauling by either will only result in the individual's injury or death. This inability to infect through bites was discovered by Dr. Doug Wright during the 2012 May Have a Desire case. Effects: C virus causes extreme mutations in humans, though different strains can induce different kind of mutations. The C virus contains certain genes from Golgotha, giving it limited regenerative properties. These regenerative abilities are advanced enough to restore living function to the previously deceased. As a result, if the virus is released within a gas, it can reanimate former corpses as zombies, and, if preserved well enough, this can happen centuries after their original death. Another aspect taken from Golgotha is the ability to mutate into another organism after initial mutation, though it may do so by expressing genes from the T. veronica strain due to the insectoid nature of these secondary mutations. If a Havo is injured in their arms, they may develop a Ruka-Vetanhe mutation which grows a new arm with traits of another animal. If a Havo has sustained too much damage, the virus's attempts to regenerate may instead create so much heat they self-immolate. Unlike the T virus, the genes from the T. veronica allows the C virus to maintain cognitive functions of those infected by it, despite heightened levels of aggression and impulsiveness. In Havo, they are capable of following orders received before and after infection, as well as still retaining their knowledge of how to perform actions. The 3 doses of the enhanced C virus created with Jake Mueller's blood all worked differently. Carla notably became so unstable mentally and physically that she melted into sludge and only thought of killing Ada Wong. Simon started relatively sane but angry. However, he devolved into wanting to kill Leon for being Ada's preferred man. His transformations were partially controllable, but he was in immense pain. Pierce grew an organic trident to replace his severed arm, but gradually went blind on his left eye and was oozing visible amount of green pus. The file for the enhanced C virus states that it eliminates the risk of cellular breakdown and need for a chrysalid, but nothing about retaining mental faculties indefinitely. Astanik shows a unique mutation where he retains much of his mind but has a lack regeneration. Retaining wounds and scars, amputation also do not heal, with the prosthetic created to supplement his missing arm. He is, however, ridiculously resilient, as explosions, drills and buildings only do moderate damage to him. His only true weakness is his heart, which needs a kill shot to finally put Ostanek down. Okay, so these were the explanations of the T virus, G virus and the C virus. I hope they are clear to you. Alright, this is it for this video and I will see you all in the next video. Take care and bye bye.